Hi, everybody. Listen, today I have something to share with you that's truly going to make a difference because it's designed to help show you the patterns in your life. And once we know what your behavioral patterns are, we can drill down and begin to start to see the root causes of the things that are triggering your stress and anxiety. So today I'm so happy to present to you the Life Skills Masterclass Anxiety Journal. And I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. So let's get started. So you can see I'm in this little bubble right here in the front, but let's go on the inside. So we have the table of contents over here, and we have a little welcome page. It's important to write your name right here. Put your name there so you know that this belongs to you, of course. And then on the next page, we have using cognitive journaling. Now, there's some really helpful information over here, but I want to point out these two little sections right here where you will fill in your answers to these questions. It's real important. So right here, I will journal on these days. I want you to write in this section the days of the week. Let's say that you choose to journal 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for example. You would put that in here, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then down here, this is really important, what I wish to achieve by journaling. Think about this. Take a moment and just think about what it is that you hope this journaling journey would help you uncover. So that's also really important because you want to know where it is that you start. You always want to start with the end in mind. And that having been said, let's go all the way to the very last page because I want to show you something. So we're going to skip through all of this. We'll get back to it in a second. But on the very last page here, you'll see the 20-day anxiety challenge. So this entire journal has been set up as a 20-day process. It's going to walk you through it day by day by day. So on day 1, fill in your anxiety crisis plan. And then on day 2, start practicing your grounding techniques. And then on day 3, plan your journaling and therapy days. And then on day 4, so it just goes along over a 20-day period. And I promise you that if you will pay attention to it, it's really going to help you. So let's get back to where we were. And it's this page right here, strategies for self-soothing. So what is self-soothing? Well, it's real simple. Self-soothing is a way, it's a grounding technique, and it's a way when you become consciously aware that you're beginning to stress in a particular moment, stop yourself. Take a big, deep cleansing breath in through your nose, hold it to the mental count of 4, and then slowly exhale it through your mouth. In through your nose, hold to the mental count of 4, exhale through your mouth. And just let your body relax. That's a very good breathing exercise. And when you find yourself becoming consciously aware of anxiety that you're struggling with, and you ground yourself in this manner, then open your eyes and start using your senses. Focus on something that you see, something that attracts you, the very first thing that you see that attracts your attention. Focus on that. And then look for something that you can taste. Look for something you can touch and feel it. When you pick it up, let's say you pick up the pen, really feel the pen in your hand. Feel what it feels like. What am I feeling? I'm feeling the cap. I'm feeling the little pocket protector thing. I'm feeling some rubber right here on the end. I'm feeling the ballpoint pen. That feels like metal. And so really just focus on feeling and the touch and what you feel. When you do this, it begins to release the anxiety that you're experiencing. Then look for something that you can smell, and then focus on something that you're hearing. Maybe you're hearing a bird chirping in the background. Maybe you are hearing a baby cry in the distance. Whatever the case may be, Focus on engaging and activating your senses. Find something you can see, find something you can taste, find something you can touch, find something you can smell, and find a sound that you can focus on. When you begin to do this, you put yourself in the present moment. And when you become present moment, when you start living right now in this moment, there is no anxiety. Your anxiety will simply fade away. So this journal is filled with all kinds of wonderful little techniques like that that you can really begin to use to help yourself relieve some of the stress and anxiety that you deal with on a daily basis. Let's go to the next set of pages. Things to avoid. So, as we all know, coffee, sugar, skipping meals, alcohol especially, the news, and I would include television, radio, the internet, social media, any kind of news programming is absolutely toxic today. Please avoid it. Just stop watching it. I promise you, your life will change. And I also promise you, for those of you who have FOMO, fear of missing out, that after about a week or two of not watching the news, you're going to begin to feel better, and you're going to start to realize how the news brainwashes you with negativity. So release that. Let go of watching the news, and don't be afraid of missing out, because I promise you, if there's anything major going on that you need to know, you'll know about it. Lack of sleep, comparison. Don't compare yourself with things. This is horrible on social media. You see the two phones there where we're constantly looking at, Jane Doe next door and trying to compare ourselves to them. Stop that. There's no comparing yourself to anything. Be unique. Be your own journey. Do your thing. Create your own life. Focus on that. And stop worrying what the people next door or your neighbors on social media are doing. Just let go of it. It's really toxic. Keep yourself hydrated. People who do not exercise have the highest levels of anxiety. It is a scientific fact. If you're not exercising every single day, if you're not getting the recommended daily allowance of exercise, your levels of stress and anxiety are going to be way higher. And I find that that is one of the biggest issues that I deal with my coaching clients, is usually none of them exercise. And if you're sitting in a chair in front of a computer all day at work, that's even worse. So you have to find ways to move. You have to find ways to get your blood pumping, get your heart pumping, get oxygen into your lungs in a big way. These are things that are really going to help you. Another big problem I see a lot is isolation. When you start becoming stressed and anxious, what do? We don't want to deal with people. So we isolate ourselves. When you start isolating yourself in this way, you begin the process of rumination in your head, these mind loops that just repeat themselves over and over and over again. And then a lot of times people will isolate themselves and turn on the TV, and what do they watch? The news. And so that negativity just robs you of your quality of life every single day. Stop it. Make these changes, and you will begin to see your stress and anxiety really change. People who do not get enough sunshine. I'm guilty of this. This is a part of my problem. And I've noticed that in the wintertime, I am slightly more depressive. And it's because of the lack of sunshine. Now, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's nothing but desert here and sunshine pretty much every day. So I live in a city that is supportive of sunshine for me because it's so necessary. I couldn't live in a place like Seattle or maybe Portland, Oregon, or even Vancouver, Canada. And I've lived in all three of those cities, but where it's mostly cloudy and it rains every day, and you have kind of a doom and gloom kind of atmosphere. I personally am not a person that can live in that environment because I need sunshine for my mental health. And I'm very conscious of that. So that's why I've chosen to live in a place which is 98% sunshine year round. And processed food. Processed food, people who eat junk food, who have that junk food diet. You know, you've heard me talk about my dad. My father was a junkaholic. He ate mostly junk food, specifically KFC fried chicken and Wendy's. And he would drink Coca-Cola with peanuts in the bottle. That always grossed me out, but that's just what he enjoyed. But it killed him. My father had 7 heart attacks, 2 open heart bypass surgeries, and was on the waiting list for a heart transplant when he died. Why? Because of clogged arteries. And it was all because of processed junk food. So really watch your diet and really make sure that you are taking care of yourself and you're putting fuel in your body that supports your mental and emotional well-being. That's so, so vitally important if you want to get well. And then down here at the bottom, there's a little blurb I want you to fill out. My thing to avoid are. So what are the things that you need to avoid in your life? Write it right here in this section. That's really important. Let's go to the next set of pages. Over here, I have some grounding strategies, some body awareness strategies to help you, and then some mental exercises. And then on this side, I have a feeling overwhelmed checklist. Now, here are some of the most common overwhelmed triggers that I see, having literally helped thousands of people who are dealing with overwhelm. And these are the ones that I see the most common, pop up again and again and again. So check these off. And if you have more than 3, you are experiencing mental and emotional overwhelm. And so this can really help you to diagnose yourself and see just exactly where you're overwhelmed and what it is that's overwhelming you. So this is a really important exercise to go through. It's going to help you find those patterns. Now, next we have our anxiety crisis plan. This is really, really good. And I use this a lot in my coaching program. So knowing what is triggering you is half the battle. And I know I'm triggered when. I want you to fill this out. Write in there that you know what triggers you. You know, I bet right now, if you just closed your eyes and thought about it, you could come up with your top 3 things that trigger you. Write them right here. You know, it doesn't have to be a paragraph. Just put the item, what it is that triggers you. It's my husband. It's my wife. It's my boss at work. It's, you know, whatever it might be, the dog barking next door. Whatever it is that triggers you, write that down. And then over here, things that soothe me. So it's the contrast. So on one side, we have what triggers us. On the other side, I want to know, what are some things that bring you comfort? You know, for me, sitting in a jacuzzi is something that really, really heals me. It soothes me. It makes me feel better. And it also triggers my creativity, I've noticed over the years. When I sit in a warm bubble bath, or I sit in a jacuzzi at a hotel when I'm traveling, whatever the case may be, I find that the bubbles and the warm water for some reason triggers my creativity. And that's a good thing to know. So when I want to be creative, I go jump in my jacuzzi. So if you don't have a jacuzzi, for example, maybe it's a bubble bath for you. But whatever the situation is, what are the things that soothe you? Put them right here in this area. And then over here, what I can do to keep my safe space. So we all should have this safe space, this place where we go that just brings us comfort. And I like to call it my timeout place, the place. Sometimes I need a timeout, and I put myself in a timeout. And I actually have a meditation room in my house where I go and I meditate. And it's just a little nook, a little spot with some pillows, candles, and the things that make me feel good. My little meditation bowls, my bells, things like that. And I've created this safe space for me to go to when I need it. So where is your safe space? Have you ever created a physical space in your house, or maybe your backyard, or wherever it might be for you? I've had more than one client tell me that it's actually in their car. That for some reason, just being in the noiseless environment, because today cars are almost kind of soundproof. And so when you get into them, they're quite quiet on the inside. And I have had more than a couple clients mention to me that their safe space for them is in their car. And then over here, my support call list. Who would you call if you were in crisis? Who's that one person? You're going to know who that is instantly. Who pops in your mind right away? That person, that go-to person that just makes you feel better. That go-to person that you would call in a moment of real struggle. That's the person you want to put here. Put their name and their phone number right there. And then other crisis resources. What websites or what other important phone numbers might you want to put here? Maybe you want the suicide crisis hotline. So if you ever need someone to talk to, you could put that there. Or maybe you might put the Life Skills Masterclass Facebook group, because you can always find us there, and we're always willing to talk to you no matter what's going on. And then down here, things to remind myself when feeling anxious. So right here, what would you remind yourself? What would you tell your best friend? If you were sitting on a bench in a park with your best friend, and your best friend was really stressed out and anxious, what real good advice would you give them? Write that right here. And then here's a little spot for your crisis hotline. You can put it right there. So let's move on and go to the next set of pages. Now here I have a series of really important questions. So anxiety prompts. Now I think there are 11 questions total. So right here, what is worrying me right now? How long have I worried about this? These are a series of questions to get you thinking. They're really designed in a way that will make you think about your particular situation, your triggers, your anxiety, and your response. So that's what we're going to learn through going through these questions. Look over here. Name 3 things that I'm grateful for and why. So what are the 3 things that you're grateful for, and why are you grateful for them? Why are they important to you? What significance do they have in your life moving forward? Write about it right here. Look down here. List my favorite compliments others have given me. Think about, this is really important. Don't dismiss this. Really think about real compliments that you've been given in the past and how they made you feel. Remind yourself that you are enough. Remind yourself that you are worthy. Remind yourself that you have all of the answers to every question you will ever ask yourself right inside. The reason you don't have access to it is because you haven't done the emotional work to unlock the doors. But once you do, you will find that place within you that has all of the answers that you will ever need throughout your life. And in the Metacognition 101 coaching program, that's what we do. We actually teach you not only how to uncover the root cause of your problems and what to do about them, but we teach you how to access your infinite knowledge that you're born with. Everyone has it inside of us, but most people don't know how to access it. We teach you how. And this is a part of the process. Look down here. What does anxiety feel like to me? This is one of my favorite questions. And I always ask my coaching clients this. What does anxiety feel like to you? Because for every single person, it's different. It's going to feel different for everybody. So it's important for us to identify that. It's important for us to understand and know what the anxiety feels like. So when it pops up, we recognize that as anxiety, and we can then default to our strategies that we've learned of how to reverse that feeling. Let's go to the next page. You'll see a series of other questions here. And then down at the bottom, what have I learned from my anxiety? One of the things that I teach people in the Metacognition Codex program is how to reframe the way that you think about anxiety and stress. So if you look at it as a learning experience, if you look at it as an experience that's going to teach you something, man, the valuable information that you can get, not only about yourself, but about your journey. And what a wonderful thing it is to have a document that you can reference back to and refresh yourself, because you've clearly defined what I have learned from my anxiety right here. So these questions are really important. They're psychological questions. There's a whole psychology behind each one. And doing this work and doing it consciously, thoughtfully, and on purpose is really, really going to help you dig deeper inside of yourself and get one step closer to that infinite room of wisdom that lives within inside each and every one of us. I like to call it the power of dreams, because once you know how to access that place, you have all of the answers, all of the wisdom, all of the insight that you will ever need. It's all right there. And now on the next page, mental health journal prompts. These are some things, some questions that can help you think and help you come up with things. For example, how are my eating and sleeping habits currently helping me? What are they doing? You know, how is what you're eating and how is what you're sleeping affecting you? Think about this. Let's go over here to number 8. I want people to remember me as. How do you want people to remember you? What do you want? What does that vision look like? Think about it. Dig into it. Be creative and come up with an answer, a real answer that resonates with you on an authentic level. And ask yourself, you know, here's another one. What is something missing from my life? These are important questions. When you know what's missing from your life, well, you can create a strategy of how to get it. You know, and I don't care what it is. If it's more money you want in your life, well, you can have more money in your life. People ask me all the time, what's it like to have $1 million? And here's what I tell them. If you can't learn to be happy right now with $10 in your pocket, you will never, ever, ever be happy with millions. In fact, just the opposite is going to be true. You will be miserable because you're going to be the same person that you are right now, only you're going to have more money. So if you're miserable right now, well, you're going to be miserable with a lot of money. How many zeros are in your bank account does not equate to your self-worth. Please hear me when I say that. Money does not create happiness. It will give you more options. It will provide a plethora of resources that will suddenly become available to you. But it doesn't take your anxiety and stress away. In fact, I would argue that the more money you have, the more stressed and anxious you might be. So learning these coping skills now, learning the tools and strategies to manage your stress and anxiety is really going to make all the difference in the world. Don't discount this page. Really pay attention to it. Do the work. Because I promise you, if you do the work, the results are going to change your life. It can't help but not change your life. Let's go to the next set of pages. Now, this one's a fun one for me. I always like doing this one. This is the mood tracker chart. And down here at the bottom, you're going to see some boxes. Happy, angry, sad, neutral, anxious. I want you to go get some colored markers, maybe some colored Sharpies or a highlighter or whatever you want, even crayons, I don't care. And I want you to assign a color to each one of these boxes. So give one specific color to happy, another color to anger, sad, so on and so forth. And then come up here and list right here what month it is. So right now, as I'm recording this, we're in June. And so I would put June right up here. And then each day I would do kind of a self-assessment and just kind of ground yourself and tune into what you're feeling, how you're feeling emotionally, how you're feeling spiritually, physically. Just kind of do a little body scan from your head to your toe all the way down and just take an inventory of what's going on and then kind of correlate that to a color that most closely aligns with one of these prompts down here at the bottom. And whatever color that was, let's say that you're feeling pretty good this particular day and you had assigned yellow because it's a bright, happy color. So you would come up here to the day, you'd have written the date, whatever date it was in this box, and you would color it that color. Now, when you've had a month of filling this out, you're going to have some really incredible data. Because then, after a couple months of doing this, even after 1 month of doing this, you'll be able to spot the patterns. But really, after you get 2 or 3 months done, you're going to look at this colorized chart and you're going to be able to see what the predominant moods are, because it will be the boxes that have the most of one color. So for example, if your sad box was colored red and you see on this graph the majority of the boxes are red, you know that you're mostly sad. And it's important, and you can look at the dates and you begin to see and be able to track the flow of your moods. I love doing this with my coaching clients because it truly, truly, truly gives you so much valuable information. It's really hard to get my coaching clients to do it on a regular basis. I've had a lot of people that start doing it, and about 3/4 of the way through the first week, they stop because it's all red, which means they're all sad. But at the time that you're filling it out, don't worry about the colors, the information, the date. Don't worry about it. Just do it. And then at the end of the month, look at it and study it and see what it gives you. This is a powerful exercise, and it can teach you so much. And if you do this and you have trouble interpreting it, reach out to me in our Facebook group, and I will be more than happy to look at your chart and help you decipher what it means and show you how to find the right information in what you've done. I would love to do that. So please go through it and do this. Let's go over to this side, the next page, self-therapy for anxiety. So what level of anxious am I feeling? So I have a little scale here from 1 to 5. So 1 being not anxious at all, and 5 being, oh my God, I'm about to explode. So that's kind of the scale. Track yourself and say, where am I? Where am I at? Now you'll notice right up here, I have a little place for the date. So you can make several copies of this and put your date right there if you want to fill this out on a specific date and kind of track where you are in the process. And there's some really important questions here. You know, what is the cause of my anxiety or worry? So in this moment, what am I worried about? What am I focused on right now? Is it that one bill I've got to pay? My car insurance is due. My car payment is due. The kids need clothes. You know, I've got an insurance payment coming up. Is it money that's worrying you right now? What is it? Whatever it is that is worrying you right now in this specific moment, you want to write it down right here. You know, and you'll go through the same process for all of these questions. Such valuable information. So on the next page, we have anxiety stressors, home life, work, school, work-life balance, social life, other. I had a client the other day, I was using this with them, and he filled out these three, but he didn't fill out this one. And I said, well, what happened? Why didn't you fill out social life? And he goes, are you kidding? I haven't had a social life in 6 years. There was nothing to report. I found that quite amusing. We have changed that with him now. He's getting out and about, I'm happy to report. But that gave some very valuable data here. We found an area of his life that was lacking, that was suffering, because he didn't focus on having friendships. He was so overwhelmed and so stressed out by what was going on in his life that he just literally didn't have the capacity for self-care. And your social life is a part of your self-care. It helps us to socialize. We are social creatures. We're hardwired that way. So if you're isolating yourself, that's a problem. And if you're avoiding people, that's a problem. And doing this exercise right here is going to help reveal those areas. Where is it for you? What is it for you? What would this page reveal? I hope you'll work on it. And then on the next page, we have our panic attack log. Now, if you've watched my webinar, I teach you how to stop panic attacks instantly. So if you know that little Jedi mind trick that I teach you in my webinar, you won't need this page because you're not having panic attacks. But if you are having panic attacks and you don't know my little Jedi mind trick to stop them instantly, send me a DM and I'll get you the link. But in the meantime, you can use this panic attack log to track your panic attacks. So you'll fill in the date and the time over here, and then I want you to write in what the situation is. So when you're feeling anxious, like in this moment I'm feeling anxious, I feel like a panic attack is about to happen, what's the situation? It's important to document it right here. And then I want you to write, what was the trigger that caused your panic attack? What was it? What was the tipping point, or the trigger that really set you off and set the whole process in motion? Document it. And then what are your thoughts? What are the thoughts that you're having right now in this moment? Write 1 or 2 of them down, 3 or 4 if you can. What are the thoughts that are circulating through your mind? Really important, write them down. And finally, what are the symptoms that you're experiencing physically? So are your palms sweaty? Are your hands shaking? Do you have shortness of breath? Do you have a headache? Are your muscles tense? What are the symptoms that you are feeling? I want you to list them right here in this box. If you will use this, this is an amazing way to find out what is triggering you, what kind of thoughts you're having, and I can teach you how to reverse all of that. So very important. Now, a companion piece to this is a worry assessment, because a lot of times it is your worry that creates panic attacks. So here you would list, I'm worried about, what are you worried about? Write it in this box. This worry is triggering my fear of, and I want you to write what you're fearing right here. Why do I have this fear? Put what you think is the answer. A lot of times what you think is the answer is not exactly correct. But I want you to put what you feel is the correct answer in that moment. Why do I have this fear? Answer that question right there. And then there's a series of other questions here that you can answer. All of these are psychologically based. They're going to help reveal some real serious data that you can then use to change your life. Evening worries. I have found over the years, I've been coaching since 2005. And I have found over the years through my coaching clients that it's in the evening when most people begin to worry. That's really when the strong worries start to haunt you, is in the evening time. So I created this little page for evening worries. How am I feeling? What was on my mind today? How may I reframe these thoughts? So what I mean by this is, over here you might say, what was on my mind today? And you might say, the dog is sick. I had to take the dog to the vet. So that's what's on your mind today. You're worried about your loved one, your pet. And I don't know if you're like me, and I know I am. My dog is more important to me than the humans in my life. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying that, especially with the people that are closest to me. But the truth is, if it was my best friend and the dog and I could only save one of them, sorry, man, the dog's going to win. Every time, I'm just being honest. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there watching this right now that resonate with that. But write what was on your mind here. So how can we reframe this and think about it in a positive way instead of it being in a negative way? And so a way I might do this, if I'm worried about my dog being at the vet and it's really weighing on my mind, what I might do is start reframing these thoughts and start thinking about the fact that the vet is the best place for that dog to be at, because that's where the help is. Because I don't have this knowledge or the skill set of how to take care of my loved one. And so I took him to the doctor, and the doctors are going to heal him. That's a way you can reframe a negative set of thoughts and start thinking and focusing on the positive aspects about that situation. And this little exercise can really help relieve some of the tension. And I'll tell you another great way to use this page. And I've made stacks of copies of this for my coaching clients. And another useful way is at night, before you go to bed, a lot of times people have trouble sleeping at night. And I have found over the years, one of the main reasons that they can't sleep is because they can't stop thinking about their day, about what's worrying them, about the problems in their lives, about. And so one of the strategies that I teach people is to release all of that before they go to bed. Take a couple minutes and grab one of these pages, and before you go to sleep, do this exercise. How am I feeling right now? Write it down. What was on my mind today? Write down everything that was worrying you, everything that needs to be dealt with, everything that needs to be handled, all of those things that are really causing you to focus on your stress and anxiety instead of being able to let go of these things and go to sleep. Did something trigger my anxiety today? Write that down. Tell that story. Be colorful. Be as detailed as you possibly can. How did I respond, and what would I do in the future? Really important to answer this question. By doing this, let me explain to you what you're doing. You're really letting go, you're processing all of this information, all of these things that your brain still wants to process, which when you try to sleep with unprocessed thoughts, that's not a good recipe for rest. Because your brain, even though you lay down, your brain is going to keep going. We all know what this feels like. You can instantly right now think about how it feels when you lay down, your head hits the pillow, but you just can't turn your brain off. My operations manager said to me the other day that she literally just couldn't turn her brain off. When she lays down at night, she just can't get her brain to stop. The reason is because you have unresolved thoughts. So when you do an exercise like this, it resolves that thinking. And then the key piece is to tell yourself, and believe it, that you will deal with anything that needs your attention tomorrow. And when you put that thought in your head, it is a period, and it tells your brain it's time to release this, and now we can rest. Does that make sense? So this page can be useful in a couple different ways, and those are two of the ways that I use it. This next side over here on this page, anxiety affirmations. You know, if you're someone who is hardwired negatively and your brain defaults to the negative side, which is most anxiety and people who are suffering from anxiety, stress, and depression, this is a great page to come through. And you might select one or two things to focus on throughout the day, like a mantra. So, you know, come down here and you see, I am worthy of a happy life. Let that be what you focus on for today. Let that be your resonating thought. Let that be the vibration that you send throughout your being several times throughout the day. And just spend 30 seconds thinking about the fact that you're worthy of a happy life. That's the right way to use an affirmation. Just repeating it on repeat doesn't really do anything. It has to resonate with you. It has to make you feel a certain way. The statement that you use has to have resonance behind it. It has to have a frequency. It has to have vibrations. It has to have energy. So when you find one of these that resonates with you, that really speaks to you, internalize it. And when you think about it, really truly think about it. Don't just say it like some rote routine. That's not going to do anything. You know, I'm worthy of a happy life. Well, what the hell is that doing? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You need to internalize it. You need to believe it. You need to feel the vibrations and the frequency when you say, I am worthy of a happy life. And you know that to be true because it resonates with you. That is when you're inside your internal self and externally your external self. That's when you find congruency. When those two things are aligned, everything goes your way. When those two things are not aligned, this is what you get. You get friction, you get war, you get strife. So it's really about making sure that your inside and your outside are congruent. That's when you're living your authentic life. And whenever you're resonating in authenticity, that is when you're going to see beautiful things happen to you. That's when positive things will come to you. That's when opportunities will present themselves. People that you need to meet will suddenly show up in your life. There's a great quote that I've lived my entire life by. You've heard me say this before. Take bold action and unseen forces will come to your aid. I think it's the most important lesson that I've learned throughout my entire journey on this planet. Because every time I do, those unseen forces show up. But what causes that to happen is resonance, authenticity, believability. When you come from that perspective, everything changes. So let's move on. Now, for those of you who are in therapy or those of you who are in my one-on-one Metacognition Codex coaching program, this is a great little page. What was discussed in the session today? You can put your thoughts and wisdom down here. My feelings about what was discussed, takeaways from the session, and things to discuss in the next session. This is really important stuff to think about after a session. And whether it's therapy or whether it's in our coaching program or whatever it is, this page can be really useful and you can glean so much information from it if you'll take it seriously and use it. Here's a happiness audit. Now this is really positive and hopeful, and I love this part. I wanted this to be something that kind of shifts your focus away from all of the negative and bad things, or what we perceive as being negative and bad. They're all educational experiences. But here, I wanted to focus on happy stuff. So top 3 successes this month. What are the things in the last 30 days that you've succeeded at? What little wins? You know, maybe you got your dog back from the vet and everything was okay. That's a win. You hear me say all the time, celebrate the little wins all along the way. That is so important. You want to do that. It really, really makes a difference in your life when you start focusing on the things that are going well in your life. You know, what I learned this month, my anxiety this month, talk about that. Talk about how you learned to gain control over your anxiety. What made me smile or laugh? That's a great one. I love that. I heard a great dad joke the other day, and it just made me laugh. I can't remember it right now, or I'd tell it to you. But it made me laugh, and I was in a restaurant, and someone at the table next to me was telling their father, who was like 85 years old, telling him this. And this old man belly laughed so hard, and it was such a deep, deep belly laugh that it made me start laughing. And so that's an example of something I might put in here in this little section. My favorite moment, you know, what's a favorite moment? I'll give you one of mine. Back in the days when I was touring around the world as a professional magician and I had the lions and tigers in my show, one of my favorite moments was when little kids would come up to me after the show and say, "Can I pet your tiger?" And occasionally, not always, because I sometimes my schedule or other pending situations would keep me from being able to do it. But if I had the time, I would secretly tell my production manager to pull these people off to the side. And after I was done with the meet and greet, I would take them backstage and I would let that little boy touch the tail of one of my tigers, because that's a life-changing moment. That child will never forget that experience as long as he lived. And I can't tell you the joy that that used to bring me. And there was a way to do it totally safely so that, you know, the child was never in any kind of danger. And so just watching these children time and time again, these little boys and little girls just grab that tail and feel the fur in their hand and inspect it and look at the markings. And, you know, they would always ask me, you know, is this really orange? Is their skin orange? Those kind of things. Those were some of my favorite moments. And I would write about that here. You know, what do you want to do better? What is something that you're doing that you know you could be a little bit better at? You know, I tell my coaching clients, just strive to be 1% better tomorrow than you were today. If you can do that over the course of a year, you've changed your life. I promise you. Let's keep going. And then here we are at the 20-day anxiety challenge map. So this is going to give you kind of a little roadmap of what you should be doing each and every day over the next 20 days. And of course, if you ever need help with any of this, we're always here to help and support you. And there's a link on the thank you page right here. If you click on this, it'll take you to a video that will explain to you in great detail all about how we can help you change your life. Folks, I hope that you will use this Life Skills Masterclass Anxiety Journal. It is such an important resource, and if you take it seriously and you really do the work, you will find that this information is so valuable to you. You can really learn and create a strategy of how to change your life just based on the information that you're going to get out of these 20 pages or so. And so really, really take this seriously. And if you would like a copy of your own Life Skills Masterclass Anxiety Journal, the very one that I've shown you here today, all I want you to do is raise your hand in the comments below. Just reach out to us and say, hey, send me the link. And we will make sure that we get you the link so that you can download this. And you will be well on your way to learning everything that you need to know to help yourself cope and manage your stress and anxiety. Remember to take care of yourself and each other. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something good today, and I'll see you all next week.